Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making of Kaleidoscope. I'm writer, director, producer Paige Feldman, and this is The Writing of Kaleidoscope, a special series where I take you behind the scenes day by day as I draft the script that's going to be my directorial debut feature, Kaleidoscope. Today is still day I don't know what because the script is taking way too long to draft. But it is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022, and to counteract the bad juju of yesterday and how fed up I was at how long the script was taking to draft, I'm going to share 3 nice things that I wrote today. Why nice? Because I hit page 169. Yeah, we're going there. Today, I started writing on page 162 and finished on page 169. Because I am back to work from my holiday break, my full-time job, I unfortunately don't have the latitude if I also want to eat dinner and exercise and all of these things to continue on and get my full 10 pages if I don't get it within the 3 20-minute writing sprints that I do. But today was really productive. I finished a segment of scenes 23 and 24, these 2 scenes, Lee and Jonah in the time loop together and in their lives outside the time loop, showing how the time within the time loop is affecting them and causing change and growth. Because I did finish on page 169, and I'm a 12-year-old at heart sometimes. The first nice thing that I wrote that I wanted to share with you, and here I'm gonna hit on screen share, is about how it's a conversation. It's pretty long. I'm only going to be sharing a small segment of this with you today. Lee and Jonah are talking about how they feel guilty about all the kissing that they're doing within this time loop, because in the time loop, Lee has a boyfriend. In real life, in the real world, Lee still has a boyfriend, and that boyfriend, Devin, is Jonah's best friend. And they've decided that in this time loop is a dream, because when they go to sleep at night, they're transported there, and then they wake up in the morning and are in their real world, real life. You know how when you're awake, you can tell it's different than a dream? That's how it feels for them in this time loop. They know they're repeating this day together. Jonah and Lee are walking. They're out of the party. Lee doesn't want to see her boyfriend, can't deal with having to deflect him over and over again every night when she doesn't want to talk to him. She's not in love with him. And I think that's where we will start reading. Jonah says, "Don't you wake up feeling me too?" "It's a dream." Lee, a beat. She walks fast in silence. The sound of her breathing and Jonah's is the only thing for a few seconds. Then, "Lee, don't ignore me." Lee stops abruptly. Jonah nearly runs into her. "If you think you feel guilty for walking with me, for almost kissing me, for doing it all while you have Devin's blessing, how do you think I feel?" Jonah waits. "I wake up with the taste of you on my tongue and then have to help my boyfriend out of bed and tell him I love him and wish I could fall back asleep and be here with you. And if this is real, if this isn't just a dream, I'd have to make changes to my life. And how do I tell the purported love of my life that I've fallen," she almost says, "in love, out of love in my sleep, especially when he relies on me for so much. I can't do that to him. So this, what is happening right here, right now, it's a dream. It's no more than that, because I can justify all this if it's a dream." Jonah takes Lee's hand and draws circles on her palm with his thumb. He wants to fight her on this, and is even doing so with this contact. His light touch that she's definitely reacting to is proof that this moment between them isn't fake or dreamed. But he understands, and even though he doesn't like it, okay. So here is why, there's multiple reasons I think this part is nice. First of all, I love a good emotional outburst, especially when there is still subtext couched in it. So this whole Lee says, how do I tell the purported love of my life that I've fallen, she almost says, in love, out of love in my sleep. What she's really thinking here is that I've fallen in love with someone else, that I've fallen in love with you. And I love double meaning when people are explaining their feelings, because you don't always say what you feel. And even when you do, like, it's very rare that you don't hold anything back. Like I've said a lot, I have spent the last year, in 2021, my creative juices were spent for the majority of the year on an audio romantic comedy series, How to Fall in Love the Hard Way. And in audio, you don't get to do things like significant looks or tracing circles on someone's palm with their thumb. And having this moment here of contemplation that's going to be visible, that's going to be understood by people who are watching but never spoken, is exciting to me as a filmmaker, to get to go back to this space of the unsaid. All right, let's go on to nice thing number 2. So this is a short one, and this sort of piggybacks off of what I was talking about being really excited to write visual things again. Lee sighs and they walk in silence just a few more steps until they crest a hill and bam, Mulholland Drive. The lights of the valley are spread out before them. Lee beelines to a fence at an overlook and leans on it, loving the twinkle and movement below mixed with the quiet of the night. Jonah looks too, but he's looking just as much at Lee as he is at the view. So, whenever I think of this story, even when it was a YA novel that didn't even have the time loop element in it, I always knew that this was a Los Angeles story. So this moment of them getting up onto Mulholland Drive at night and seeing the city laid out before them, the lights twinkling, there's just something, I'm getting goosebumps here. You can see. It's not focusing on that, it's still on my face, but I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. There's just something so visceral about these views in LA, where you are on a street and on top of the mountain and in the middle of the universe, but alone. I am so excited to try to shoot there, to have this amazing view as Lee and Jonah talk about their own artistic careers and what being a creative means. And then the idea that Lee is looking out at this beautiful view and taking in the image, and Jonah also is, but he's watching her. There's just something really special about that mise-en-scène, and I cannot wait to have cameras out on Mulholland at midnight and make this a reality. I mean, that is going to be a freaking special moment. Now let's go to nice thing number 3. So this is another giant speech of emotions. I really like them. And this was a sentiment that I explored a lot when I was answering the 36 questions that lead to love for Lee and Jonah and trying to figure out their characters. It's all about how Jonah's younger brother, Zach, is this huge movie star, and Jonah feels like he was neglected, and if he had only been given the chance to thrive, he would be further along. He and Lee, up to this point, have been arguing about whether Lee actually can get a second chance to be a photographer, and trying to convince herself, and by proxy Jonah, that she doesn't have a shot, so why try? It escalates to a point where Lee just says, well, excuse me, I have real responsibilities and you don't. And this is Jonah's response. You think it's easy, Lee? You think it's easy to look at someone who is admittedly half as smart as you and twice as beautiful and realize that if your parents saw half of what they saw in him and me, that I might be able to support myself with my art? I grew up going to auditions with Zach, and he got parts they were seeing me for originally. I took dance lessons with him, but no one cared I could do the moves just as well. I wasn't the star. I was never the star, never the center. And you don't think it kills me to have to rely on him for a job just so I can try to get a crumb of what everyone in my family was spoon-feeding him since he was born? It fucking sucks. But I try and try and try some more, because that's what it means to be an artist, Lee. It means making your shit when no one cares and not giving up no matter how hopeless it might seem, because as much as you might try, you can't stop expressing yourself. So if you want to know what it's like to be an artist, acknowledge how starved your soul is right now, that you need that self-expression so much that you're jealous of your Aunt Susie and her badly lit Shabbat dinner photos. So reading that out loud, I actually don't think that it's as good as it could be yet, but it's a first draft. And I still love the sentiment that's expressed. I love Jonah revealing so much of himself and so much of his despair and desire and that raw, visceral feeling. I know that nobody cares what I'm doing right now, but if I don't tell people what I'm thinking and feeling and translate all of this emotion into something that other people can consume, I feel like I'm going to disappear. There's a lot of me in that. There's a lot of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been ideating Lee, actually, in that my experience going to law school and realizing that even though I could be a lawyer, it wouldn't make me nearly as happy or fulfill me in the way that telling stories and making movies does. Even as I am frustratedly still on page 169 and still on scenes 23 and 24, I just gotta keep going. And I will find many more nice things that I've written. And a lot of them are going to be cut and excised when I revise, but for now I'm gonna keep telling this story until it's over and worry about fixing it another day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for more updates on the writing of Kaleidoscope.